Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt, continues now. This is the broadcast for February the 27th in the year of our Lord 2025. This is Hour 2 of 2. Promoting God, family, and country, protecting life, liberty, and property is who we are and what we do, using the checks and balances brilliantly put in place by the Founding Fathers in the supreme law of our land, the Constitution for the United States of America. And we reject revolution, stand for peaceful restoration of the greatest country on the face of the earth. That's why we talked to Brian Rust over at freewatercoinco.com. You've got a friend in the honest money business. I'm telling you right now, you want to ferret out the best things to do and not to do and why and how and what. And these guys are experts. They've been at it for more than 50 years. And as a result, they can help you in their best advice take possession of the metal. We talked about how, hey, don't dip your toe in the crypto is now being changed to we're all going to be forced into crypto, bro. Hate to say it, but it's true. Question is, how do we go about that? How do we move forward? Don't panic. Don't have fear. Have faith in God. Pray. In fact, we talked about the fact from Tucker Carlson, more gold is being shipped quietly between countries right now than at any point in history. Why, you got to ask? Because they're all panicking. Because they realize that, you know what, the con game's just about up. But the good news is Trump's first cabinet meeting begins with prayer. That's just tremendous news. Breitbart bringing the details to us. We also talked about Vivek Ramaswamy. It's absolutely official. He's running for governor of Ohio, and he's been endorsed by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And I'm giving my public endorsement to Vivek as well. President Donald Trump and the administration are doing so much each and every day. This is critical, folks. It's hard to keep up with all of the winning. So they put together the Trump Report, daily highlights from the Oval Office to help us all keep up. Yeah, it's free. Just share your email address, and very soon you'll be in. Thank you for subscribing to the Trump Report. I'm just gonna double down on that for a second. What a great thing! I've been calling for this, man. What we need to do is just skip the press corps. Either that or make a broad press corps where it's not just in a room in Washington District of Criminals, thousands of miles away from most of us. Let's do it. So the best way to do it, I said, is, hey, release an email every day. Every morning, release an email. You know what? And here's Trump's take. Here's what we did. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's going on. Here's where you get more. Right? And I've been telling you we got to dump the gatekeeping of the mainstream press. Everybody's helping get that done right now. Rand Paul just emailed me 5 steps to crush the swamp. You've got the Lindell people saying free Tina from jail. Amen to that. You've got Salem News Channel. Go to salemnewschannel.com. And that's where you can get the details to be part of this incredible, what do you call it? Trump Report, I guess is what they're calling it. You got Blaze trending. The Blaze folks going, hey, man, no more gatekeepers. I mean, everybody is literally saying what I've been saying for years, right? It is something. And I'm not, folks, really here to try to act like I'm the, guy that makes it all happen. But it is so interesting that I've been working on this for literally 30 years now. And I've been promoting this. I have not wavered one bit. This show's changed because society changes, the delivery changes, technology changes. Things are different than when I first started out. I first started out on a single radio station, scared to death to go on the radio. Well, I started out before that on other people's radio stations trying to put together advertising and that kind of stuff. But, and since then, it's been nothing but an uphill battle, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, all those things. But now we're starting to see everybody in the new media and in even the old media in many ways coming to the table with the same message now. That is, let's focus on God, family, and country. We're winning bigly, as Trump would say, or big league. I'm not sure which it really is. No one seems to know that, right? But I'm just saying, hey, if you go to Salem Media Channel, Salem News Channel. I'm hesitating because I'm trying to get it right. They've got salemmedia.com, but this promotion of this daily update from the White House is salemnewschannel.com. Anyway, check that out because I'm convinced that's really where you're going to find out what President Trump is really doing. And you can say, if you're one of the liberals, you can say, oh, we don't really think that that's good or whatever. You know, you can say what you want. But here's my point. Let the White House put out the news as they see it. They'll tell you their story. If you want to hear the White House story or President Trump's story, who should you get it from? The enemies of Trump? The never Trumpers? I don't think so. Should you get it from the always Trumpers? I don't think so either. Let Trump and Team Trump, let them put out what they think is the news from the White House. Is it the whole news in the nation? No, there's news all over the country. There's 50 governors with news, 50 state legislative bodies with news. There's all kinds of news that happens daily, right? We can take care of that as folks in the media. But let the White House package and present what they're doing, what they've got. In fact, I wish Congress would do this too. Because frankly, between you and me, I don't really know what Mike Johnson has been doing for the last 6 weeks, 7, 8, almost 8 weeks now. I just don't know what he's been doing. You say, Sam, he's been doing some tremendous stuff. Look, they passed this bill for the budget, the big, beautiful bill. No, they passed a House version. The Senate created a totally different version. They're not even at the table yet. And Johnson's already fearful that it's going to melt down. Shocked as could be that they even got past what they did. But until they negotiate the bills and bring them together, you literally have nothing. This big, beautiful bill thing is going to be a disaster. But I don't really know. I don't really know what the White House, what the Congress is really doing. And people say, well, Sam, there's all kinds of Congress reports. I know. But they talk about so many different things in committee and so many things in this and so many things in that. It's almost impossible for me to keep up. They want you to make it a full-time job. But, man, what if I could get a President Donald J. Trump White House daily email report called the Trump Report, right? Daily updates, highlights, if you will, from the Oval Office to help us all keep up. A summary of what's going on with links to more. So if you've got time, drill down, get more, right? Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit, but I really believe it's vital to focus on this. Because right now what we get is we have this Congress where it's like 435 leaders in the House, 100 in the Senate, 535 people that really control the whole legislative agenda on the general level. What are those 535 people doing with their time? I got up at 6:40 a.m. this morning, and I studied the news for an hour and 20 minutes before the show started. Okay? And that's not all the studying that I do. That's just, you got to wake up in the morning and get caught up on the news and what's going on, right? So I do my due diligence and do all that before every show. I spend at least an hour researching in the news. I've done it all day the day before, so it's not like I'm just getting caught up now. But it's like, hey, what happened overnight and what happened that I missed? Got to get all that in hand, right? Then do the show, right? So I get up at 6:30, 6:40 a.m. in the morning, and I do this. And then I do the 2-hour show. Then I do my videos. Then I work on my day job. I do all these things. Where's Congress? When is Congress even starting today? Are they even in Washington? Hey, Liz, do you know, is Congress even in Washington right now? You don't know, and I don't blame you because I don't know either. So this is not an indictment against my producer by any means. I'm just making a point. Who knows? I want the first person who knows where their member of Congress is right now. 208-216-6100. Call me and tell me. But I called my congressman a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and I said, hey, you know what? We're working on this abolish government funding for murder plan. In other words, defund Planned Parenthood. And I got a hold of my congressman, and I said, hey, man, Josh Hawley, Missouri, he's working on this, and I'd like to work on it too. Can you pop a companion bill in the Senate? Or I'm sorry, in the House? He's got that done in the Senate. Can you help us? Yeah, sure, Sam. We'll look into it and get right back to you. I haven't heard a word. Well, he was supposedly in my district at the time. I had to call Washington. He's not even there. He's here with me. Where is he now? Hang tight. Liberty Roundtable Live.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
Do you treasure your liberty? Well, at lovingliberty.net, we most certainly do. And we want to help protect your liberty too. Become part of the family. Everyone knows that the core of any society is the family. Therefore, the government should foster and protect the integrity of its family, we the people. Won't you join us as a Loving Liberty sponsor to help us promote the principles in the 5,000-year leap? Let's restore the miracle that changed the world at lovingliberty.net.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
All right, on the break, I called my House Representative, Mike Kennedy, 3rd District of the great state of Utah. I dialed 202-225-3121. It says Capital Switchboard when you do that. And then if you know your congressman, it says, hey, say your congressman or senator's name. I couldn't remember mine. I'm just kidding. The reason I tell you that is if you don't remember, then you can either you can say their name and it'll send you straight to their offices. Or if you don't remember, you can say, I don't know. And then it'll come up and say, well, what state are you from? Do you want it to be the House or the Senate? So I said, I'm from Utah, and it's the House. They came back and said, what's your zip code? I put it in, 84003. Then it came back and said, there's 2 people represented for your district, Burgess Owens and Mike Kennedy. And I said, oh, I need Mike. And they said, okay, say 3rd District for Mike and 4th District for Burgess. Okay, fine, 3rd District. And then I got there, and the first thing I got is a voicemail. So when you call Congress these days, 9 times out of 10, you get voicemail. It's a disgrace. It's really a shame. But I left a message, and I just said, hello, my name is Sam Bushman. I'm a nationally syndicated talk show host. I do a program called Liberty Roundtable Live. And I am in Mike Kennedy's district, District 3 for the great state of Utah. And I understand that there's a bill in the Senate put together by Josh Hawley designed to defund. That's right, defund, shut down our taxpayer dollars going to Planned Parenthood. And I said I had called a couple of weeks ago and asked Mike Kennedy if he would create a companion bill in the House. And I talked to a nice lady that said she'd check into that and follow up for me, but I haven't heard anything back. Can somebody please follow up for me and get back with me on this? And so then I left my phone number, and we'll see what's going to happen. But this is the kind of thing that we need thousands, millions of Americans need to be doing. I kid you not. That's what we really, really need to do. All right. Anyway, I digress, but we're going to be pushing to end funding for Planned Parenthood. And the good news is all kinds of people are working on this with me as well. Tony Perkins, Family Research Council, Matt Staver, Liberty Council, Sam and Richard Mack over at the CSPOA. I mean, there's all kinds of pro-life organizations really working on doing this. Live Action, a bunch of others. And I just commend everybody for their work, and it's something we've really got to work on. We've got to stop taxpayer-funded murder, okay? Got to do that, is the way Donald would put it, right? Anyway, Utah is in the news for a bunch of different reasons. As we mentioned yesterday, Utah may be the first state to ban fluoride. Legislature sends bill to the governor's desk to sign. John Johnson, newser.com. Utah's on the brink of becoming the first state to ban the use of fluoride in their water. I think that's phenomenal. And I pray that Governor Cox signs it. I'm not really a big fan of Governor Cox. I think there's a lot of things that he does that I just go, man, come on now. But, hey, we need to learn to not be abusive to people. Governor Cox, I hope you sign this, my friend. And you say, wow, you're calling Governor Cox your friend? Yes, I am. I hope he does that. I hope he can really focus on saying it doesn't matter what you believe about fluoride in the water. If you're a dentist and you believe it's phenomenal, incredible, prevent cavities, just do so much good. Or if you're on the other side where you're like, hey, this thing is bad. There's all kinds of studies that show that it's a toxic chemical, and you believe that. My issue is set that aside for a second and ask yourself, do you want to force people to inject fluoride into their body? When I say inject, I don't really mean it's a needle. I'm just saying, hey, you put it in your body by force because all the water's got it in it or whatever. I think that you need to leave people to decide for themselves. Now, I'm not an abortion guy either. I reject murder, abortion, whatever you want to call it, 100%. But, ladies and gentlemen, here's the question. Set that aside, whether you're way into abortion, you believe in a woman's right to choose or whatever, pro-choice or whatever, or you're way against it like me. And set aside those differences just for a second. And don't tell me I can't, Sam, because you can. You can set that aside for a second and ask a question. Does the unborn, the most innocent among us, do they have any rights? If so, we're talking about their rights. But even set that aside if you don't believe in that. You're like, I don't believe they have rights, so we're off the discussion. Fine. Do you believe that taxpayers should be forced to fund abortion if they completely disagree? So I don't believe a penny of my money should go to taxpayer-funded murder. Abortion. Whatever term you want to call it. I don't believe in it. I'm against it. 100% against it. Now, should I be forced to pay? You think that's right? See, I don't think so. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think so. I think I should be free to not fund that. Right? Now, if people want to go ahead and do whatever they want to do, that's fine. I'm not for it. I would encourage you not to get an abortion. But there's a big, big difference between someone choosing to get an abortion on their own dime with their own, quote, wherewithal versus forcing me to be part of it. Right? So whether it's fluoride in the water, whether it's babies, whether it's, we should be able to choose for ourselves. Vote with our own money, not be forced to participate. And that's really where I stand on this issue. It's like, can we step back a minute and can we discuss these things? Take transgender agenda. I don't agree with it at all. I'm against it. I think it's wrong. I think God says biblically, male and female created I them. It's pretty clear in my mind from a God point of view. Historical point of view, or we follow the science if you want to go their point of view. Hey, you know what? The science says there's an X and an X and an XY. Male and female are different. Fundamentally, at the scientific core, they are different. Now, if somebody believes in transgender, I don't. But, hey, let them choose. But don't force me to back or fund or promote their choice. So see, all these issues, if we all take a step back and take out the quarrel points or the points where we fight or argue or whatever, disagree, and just say, hey, I don't think that we need to be doing this. And I really think that's kind of the key, right? I really think that's the key to the exercise in terms of civility. Take the gay and lesbian issue, or the transgender issue, or the abortion issue, or the fluoride in the water issue. Every one of those issues has to do with people's bodies and people's choices, right? So that's really where, in my mind, we need to focus. What do I mean by focus? We need to take a step back, right? We need to take a step back and just say, why don't we leave it at that level? Let's take the general government out of it. They're thousands of miles away. They don't have any constitutional obligation or provision or directive that puts them in to be involved or in charge of marriage, abortion, gay, lesbian, whatever rights, all these issues that we fight and argue about that we're fundamentally opposed to one another on. Don't force us into a situation. Let us take a step back and say, hey, can we just agree that the general government will stay out of it? Can we just agree that we're going to let people self-determine and suffer the consequences? Right? That's really what we need to do. That's really where we need to focus our time. And that's where I think we can get the most bang for our buck, if you will, in terms of, hey, let's get along. All right, I want to talk about this SJR 13. It's a resolution in the state of Utah applying for a, quote, federal constitutional convention, a.k.a. Article 5 convention, for proposing amendments, convention of states, etc. It's been scheduled for a hearing in Utah. This to me is disaster. I'm against this, right? It's in the Senate Government Operations Committee meeting. It's today at 4 p.m. Room 220. Senate bill at the Capitol Complex. Please do the following, writes my buddy Eldon Stahl over at John Birch Society. Doing a great job. One, if you would like to testify against this bill, this resolution, please show up in person. I can't guarantee that you can testify if you're not there in person, but here's a link so you guys can see it remotely. Two, regardless if you testify or not, please call and text, email the 7 members. And then he gives numbers to those people. We've got to reject a con-con. Got to reject a con-con. Why should the senators vote no on SJR 13? We've got a bunch of reasons why. I'll dig into them in seconds. I am Sam Bushman. This is Liberty Roundtable Live. Folks, we've got to get involved together. You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. Ain't a spectator sport here. This is the hearts and minds and souls of we the people. Our goal, to turn them to God, to teach them correct principles and have them govern themselves. Can you imagine that? Hang tight.
Exposing corruption, informing citizens, pursuing liberty. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. He is not backing down. President Trump says tariffs on Canada and Mexico will start next Tuesday.
After some confusion about when tariffs may be imposed, the president says they are on track for next week. He writes on social media that the U.S. will also double the 10% universal tariff charged on imports from China. The president says illicit drugs such as fentanyl are being smuggled into the United States at unacceptable levels. The auto sector especially is bracing for the potential economic fallout. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Ukraine tops the agenda as Britain's prime minister visits Washington for talks today with President Trump.
Keir Starmer's told lawmakers Kyiv must be at the table for any negotiations.
This is about the sovereignty of Ukraine and their ability to decide for themselves the future of their country.
He adds that the UK is ready to play a role in providing security guarantees to Ukraine, but reiterates the plan would require US backing.
That's why my message to President Trump is that the relationship between our two countries needs to go from strength to strength.
Britain's leader echoed earlier prime ministers in emphasising the special relationship. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Israel has released more than 600 Palestinian prisoners in an exchange for the bodies of 4 hostages who had been held by Hamas in Gaza. Now, phase 1 of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal is now complete. Attorney General Pam Bondi says today the Justice Department probably will release files on the late convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Bondi spoke with Fox News. Foul play not suspected, according to authorities, in the death of legendary actor Gene Hackman, his wife, and their dog. Their bodies found in their New Mexico home during a welfare check. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 351 points, NASDAQ down 117. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
All right, back with you live. So I was talking about a con. Everybody's pushing for it, sadly so. Thank heavens Glenn Beck came to his senses on this. He used to be for a con. Now he clearly says a con would be a disaster. Amen, Glenn Beck. You're spot on, sir. We got to vote no on SJR 13, though. It's a push in Utah right now. Go to the Capitol today. If you want, you can push against this bill. I'm publicly on the radio saying vote no on SJR 13 in Utah. That's the resolution applying for a, quote, federal con. It's a con, folks, is all I can say. Don't vote for the con. Reject it. It's a con, okay? Anyway. I digress on it. I'm just saying I'm completely against it. Thanks to Eldon Stahl for bringing that to my attention. Look in your state, too, because other states are moving towards a con as well. So even if you're not in the great state of Utah, anywhere you are in the country, look up your state and find out where your people are and do your very best to reject a constitutional convention. There's so many reasons why, and we've talked about this over the last 30 years, really, so many times. And the problem with a con is you have no idea that they'll stick with whatever the rules or guidelines set forth. Once they get there, they can do anything they want. The founders did it once, and I praise them for doing it because then they were at a crossroads, and it was a necessity. We're not to that point. People say, Sam, aren't you a constitutionalist? Yes. Well, then you should be for this. It's constitutional, right? No. Wrong. Just because something has constitutional provisions to do something, that doesn't mean I'm for doing it. Let me give you an example. The Constitution provides that we can go to war. Congress can decide to go to war. But that doesn't mean that I would go to war in most cases. I would reject it and say, no, I know we have that provision, but I don't think we got to exercise it. Same thing with a con. Just because we have the ability to have a constitutional convention in a crisis situation, I don't think that we're at that situation at all. Same thing with, for example, secession. The debates on that are till the cows come home. Somebody says, hey, we can secede any time. If we created the federal government or we joined it, we can jettison it. That's right. That's factual. That's constitutional. That's Declaration of Independence-esque, if you will. I get it and agree. That doesn't mean that I'm for that plan. I think that's an extreme plan. Right? Some people will, in comparison, be like, Sam, do you believe in drugs? Well, it depends, right? Are we talking about recreational? Are we talking about medical? Well, I believe in medical medications from time to time. Well, Sam, just because you believe those, then you should embrace medical medications all the time. No. I want to look at every situation and say, is the medical medication justified here? And if someone's in extreme pain temporarily, I get the need to give them some medication. That doesn't mean I think medication meets every situation. So just because there's provisions in the Constitution that advocate or allow for something, that doesn't mean that I think it's the best answer. I don't think we should secede from the Union. Although I do think the states have that authority and right. If they have the authority to join, it doesn't matter if the Constitution has a provision to get out or not. You can't sign. It's not like the Hotel of California. You can't just sign and you're in forever and there's no way to get out. The states created the general government, therefore they can jettison it if they choose. I just don't think it's wise to choose that. I don't think it's wise to have a con. So vote no on SJR 13 in Utah. And in your own state, please find a way to oppose a con. After all, it is a con. All right, this is an interesting headline that I got here. Independent reporter, quote, FBI agents were destroying JFK documents. Matt Vespa, over at townhall.com brings us this one. Good for Salem and Town Hall. FBI whistleblower confirms to journalist Michael Shellenberger that FBI employees were destroying evidence related to Jeffrey Epstein and the files, as well as JFK assassination files. Oh, boy. They say there's a massive war happening in the intelligence agencies right now. The corruption being exposed right now is actual treason. I agree with that. Okay, what's going on right now is criminal. Destroying evidence, standing in the way of the appropriate authorities in America. Michael Shellenberger says that sources told him directly that agents are destroying servers that contain sensitive documents relating to the JFK assassination and to RFK. I'm sorry, not RFK, JFK. Right? I don't know how to respond to that. It's just disaster, right? Where do you go with this kind of stuff? It's so pervasive. I don't know how to respond to it. There's a massive war happening in the intelligence agencies right now. Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and everybody else stepping in. And Michael Shellenberger says, hey, man, agents are destroying servers with documents on it for all kinds of things. Yeah. FBI whistleblowers are confirming that inside the FBI, this is happening right now. And then he says this, I hope that John Ratcliffe, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel can go ahead and create accountability here. We got to stop them, right? We got to stop them big time from this. Because here's the interesting thing. I just got an email that basically says, hey, Pam Bondi is ready to release the Jeffrey Epstein information today. Well, you think that'll really happen? I don't think it's a lie. I think that they will do their very best. But I believe they're being so undermined that I don't know how much we'll really have done. Right? I don't know at the end of the day what it'll look like. I don't have a lot of confidence. Okay? Headline from WorldNet Daily says, this will make you sick. Pam Bondi releasing Epstein names and flight logs Thursday. That's today, people. Right? What's that going to look like? I don't know what that's going to look like. But when I hear FBI agents are destroying servers right now like a Hillary Clinton bleach bit thing or whatever, and when I hear that, I just feel like, Pam, I love you. Did you get this in time? Or have they beat you to the punch, Pam? I don't know. I pray with all my heart and soul, people, that we can release this. I think Pam Bondi will do her best to release it. But I don't have a lot of confidence that we'll get the whole thing. For example, we were told that Hillary Clinton was criminal. We were told that she used bleach bit to destroy evidence. We were told that she had classified information on her own server, violating classified guidelines, and that she acted criminal. We know all those things. But in the end of the day, nothing happened. So, Pam, don't get me wrong, and don't take this as criticism, please. Consider this. You know what? Even if you release, like you say, Epstein names and flight records, that's all good. But what good will it do to release the logs today if there's no accountability? In other words, if people don't go to jail, if we don't follow those leads. So let's say I get a list of 200 people from the Jeffrey Epstein files and flight logs and everything else. Let's just say that Bill Clinton's on there. Hey, I don't know why I'm being brought up in the news. That was a long time ago. Okay, I don't know why, but what good's it going to do to say Bill Clinton was on the flight logs and Bill Clinton was, with Jeffrey and such? Yeah, Bill Clinton was on Lolita. That's all true. He lied about it. We proved through subpoena or FOIA request records and everything else that, hey, I shouldn't say subpoena, FOIA request records. Hey, he was on the Lolita a bunch of times. He lied. And then when he got caught in that lie, he said, well, look, there was nobody on there. There was no weird girls on there or anything. Okay, well, that's yet to be seen. But he got caught lying. Look, there's no repercussions for Bill Clinton. I mean, even the Me Too movement, the women criticizing all these men for abusing them. I think they're right. Men should not do that. But at the same time, did Bill Clinton have any repercussions? No. So what good's it going to do to say Bill Clinton's on the Lolita Express Jeffrey Epstein plane of yesteryear and he's in all these files unless we follow the leads and document evidence and prosecute? I think Bill Clinton needs to be in jail personally, but he's managed to escape justice thus far. Pam, will we see a difference now? I pray the answer is yes.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at CSPOA.org. That's CSPOA.org.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Experience the untamed spirit of the American West with Range Magazine. Each issue is a visual journey featuring award-winning photography and compelling stories that capture the heart of ranching and rural life. Stay informed on the challenges and triumphs of those who live and work on the land. Subscribe today and receive quarterly editions delivered to your doorstep and join a community that cherishes the enduring legacy of the Western frontier. Visit rangemagazine.com to subscribe.
Live and on your radio, ladies and gentlemen, Sam Bushman. Time flies when you're having fun. My gosh, it's already almost 2 hours gone. I'm just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. Have you signed up for the Donald Trump report? The Trump report? Go to SalemNewsChannel.com and sign up immediately. Great stuff. Sam signs up with a fantastic idea. I get back. Thank you for subscribing to the Trump report. Daily highlights from the Oval Office. You should receive your first edition in your email box soon. I'm waiting. I think it's phenomenal. I came up with the idea. Others came up with the idea. Bright minds think alike, and voila. Salem Media Group puts it together. You got to commend these people. It's just great stuff. Anyway, Pam Bondi, I pray for your success, but man, they're destroying documents under your thumb, sister. You got to get on this now, and you got to start prosecuting now, and you got to start arresting people. Anybody that destroyed any evidence that you have evidence of, you got to arrest them, Pam. You can't tolerate that. Just saying. All right, I got some great news. I've never been a super fan of Jeff Bezos. And the reason that I haven't is because, you know, I realize Amazon's huge. But I realized the way Amazon got huge is with some kind of predatory bullies type practices. They've done that forever. You know, they'll, for example, partner with me to sell my widget that's incredible. And then what they'll do is they'll use their basics program to kind of knock off my widget and give you 80% of my widget for less money. And then pretty soon my widget's harder to sell, and pretty soon I go away and now they have their widget and they recommend their widget and whatever. And so it's predatory practices. They literally force people to terms they don't really want to agree to, but you have to play in that big market, etc. So I have not been a fan of Jeff Bezos. And then when he took over the newspaper, the Washington Post, I kind of went, oh boy. Well, Jeff has been coming to his senses, just like Mark Zuckerberg has been coming to his senses. Now, is it real or not? Somebody would say, Sam, that's not even real. They're just playing the game as they need to. They know the administration's feeling this way, so they're going to, big tech's going to move in that direction. Maybe true, maybe not. I can't judge the hearts of individuals. I don't know if Mark Zuckerberg is genuinely sorry for putting $400 million into a fraudulent election in 2020. I don't know if Mark Zuckerberg's sad that he shut Trump down on Facebook and he feels wrong that he violated free speech and free association and everything else. I don't know if Jeff Bezos, how he feels about things. I don't know these people personally, and I cannot judge their hearts. So I'm left to the idea of, hey, I want to base things on principle. Imagine that, right? And since I'm going to embrace things based on principle or not, I'm going to say this. I think Jeff Bezos is doing some right, good, honorable things. So even though I haven't been a fan of how he got so big at Amazon, I am a fan of what he's doing now. So he bought the WAPO, the Washington Post. And now the headline says this: the Washington Post's opinion editor, David Shipley, stepped down. He resigned from his position after Jeff Bezos, the owner of the Washington Post paper, announced a major shift in the op-ed section of his newspaper. You want to learn more? dailycaller.com is where you go to learn more about this. But here's the deal. Bezos announced that the paper and its opinion section will focus on defending personal liberties and free markets due to both of these principles being pillars, having been a major part of America's success. Now think about that. Wow, that's something, right? So he's saying, hey, in the old days, I get that newspapers were local and those newspapers would try to bring all opinions to the table. And that was justifiable then. But now the internet does that. The internet has every opinion under the sun. So don't need to do that at the WAPO, the paper, anymore. So Jeff Bezos says, listen, I am an American. And I believe in these two pillars, these two principles, free markets, right? And defending personal liberties. And so we will make our newspaper editorial in favor of that. And we will not bring the other opinions to the table. The internet's got that. I don't need to do that anymore, says Jeff. I think he is spot on. Personally, I really do. I think that's just tremendous. Great work by Jeff Bezos. Now, some would say, well, Sam, it's probably not genuine. You know what? I don't even want to debate that. Why? Because there's no value in debating it, right? There's no value. It's his paper, and he can do what he wants. And it's my little news organization that can support him in that, right? So Jeff does what he wants with his newspaper. I do what I want with my radio stuff, right? And I'm commending Jeff Bezos and saying, you know what? The principles of personal liberty and free markets are the answer. It's the free enterprise system. I want fair trade, not free trade, so don't get mixed up on this thing. But these principles are fundamental to America. I agree with Jeff. And that's my point at the start of this program when I talked about this. I said, listen, we can step back from the extremes, no matter how you feel about things. Can we agree that personal liberty is vital? Can we agree that America, the greatest economic engine the world's ever known, is based on free market principles? Then let's start there. Jeff is right about this, people. And I'm doubling down and defending Jeff this time because I'm not for or against Jeff. I'm for or against principles. And Jeff has got a principle, and he's standing with it, and he's right, and I commend him. Let's see. I just got an email from Ron Paul. Subject is called Smoke and Mirrors. Anyway, it's a great, great editorial piece. It says this: Sam, there are many gimmicks to mislead voters, and Republican politicians know them all. They have it down to such a science, they can pass record high budgets full of pork barrel spending for special interest deals and claim they're cutting at the same time. You want proof? Just 2 days ago, Republicans in the U.S. House trumpeted the new budget framework, which they say would cut $1.5 trillion in spending. If that's true, asks Ron Paul, then why does their proposal also include a $4 trillion debt ceiling increase? Let me say that again, and Ron's right about this. If it would really cut $1.5 trillion in spending, why do they need a $4 trillion debt ceiling increase? They don't. Why? Because it's all smoke and mirrors, of course. The so-called, quote, Tax Reduction Act actually keeps the tax rate the same. The so-called cuts are, quote, reduced increases. Ron has the best anecdote I've ever heard on this. Here's what he says. That's like saying I was going to rob you and kill you. But then I decided to only rob you, which means I saved your life. The $1.5 trillion spending cut isn't going to happen this year, but rather they've got it scheduled for years and years from now. Under, quote, best case assumptions, the proposal would add $328 billion to the deficit this year alone, meaning that the national debt will still rise this year more than last year, and it'll increase by $295 billion the year after that. Billion, I mean, right? As Representative Thomas Massey says, the only Republican to vote against the bill, pointed out, the only way they get to this magic thing where it's not going to kill our country is 5 years from now. Their assumptions are wrong. But they're wrong. I've been here long enough. I've seen the 10-year plans, says Massey. And it never works. Under John Boehner, we had 10. Former Speaker Paul Ryan, we had 10. Everything past the third year never happens ever, says Massey. What an outrage. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to slash the federal budget and reduce the deficit. Republicans, Donald Trump, both House and Senate, and Doge, laying out all kinds of ideal programs to cut. And yet House Republicans come up with this clown show, this dog and pony show. Sam, you need to call your U.S. representatives immediately and demand he or she opposes this deal and demand real cuts that actually have real spending and reduce the national debt for real. As has been pointed out over the last 6 weeks, there's plenty of fat to cut from every single agency's budget. If your representative is a Republican, he or she needs to hear from you to know that voters are not buying their lies anymore about how we're going to carry out fiscal restraint. If they're a Democrat, they voted against the bill. Why? Because they want more spending increases and they want to spend it the Democrat way. See, that's the thing. The Republicans want to spend money the Republican way. The Democrats want to spend money the Democrat way. Neither want to preserve cash and protect the American people the constitutional way. All right? Right? The national debt is a nationally festering disease, people. No matter who your representative is, call him. Tell him. He even has a script you can use for this in his email. I'm just telling you, Ron Paul's banging on all cylinders, people. He's got it right as rain. You got involved. No more spectator sport, people. Let's get serious. Let's take care of business. Let's be kind but insistent. And let's put our money and our votes where our mouths are, shall we? Thanks for being alongside for the ride. 2 hours in the can. Hard-hitting talk at your fingertips. Available on demand at lovingliberty.net. Spread the word. Share the love. Download the phone apps and more. You've got a friend in the radio business, right? Thanks for being alongside for the ride. And God save the Republic of the United States of America.